The house had learned how to whisper. After the baby arrived, everything changed, not suddenly, but gently. Doors closed more softly. Voices lowered without effort. Even time itself seemed to slow down, stretching into long, quiet afternoons. And in the middle of that quiet lived a Scottish fold cat named Miso. Miso was small, with a round face and folded ears that gave him a permanent look of gentle curiosity. He had never been a loud cat. He didn't jump onto high shelves or demand attention with meows. He preferred stillness, observation, waiting, so when the baby came home, wrapped in a cloud of new scents and soft sounds, Miso didn't hide. He watched. The baby's name was Evan. Evan was tiny. Wrapped in blankets the color of oatmeal and cream, his movements unsure and uncoordinated. His breathing filled the room in soft, uneven rhythms, a new kind of music for the quiet house. Miso noticed immediately. He adjusted the way he sat, the way he listened, as if the baby's presence had quietly rewritten all the rules. For the first few days, Miso kept his distance. He sat near doorways, a furry sentinel. Under tables, a shadow of watchfulness. On the arm of the couch, facing the crib from afar, his folded ears turned slightly toward every gurgle and sigh Evan made. It wasn't just curiosity, it was attention. A deep, focused study. One afternoon, Evan lay on a playmat near the window. Sunlight pooled on the floor, warming the wood. His little arms moved slowly through the air, fingers opening and closing as if he were testing the weight of the world. Miso stepped closer. He moved with deliberate care, placing each paw as if the floorboards might creak and shatter the peace. When he reached the edge of the mat, he sat down and simply waited. Evan turned his head. Their eyes met. There was no smile, no sudden reaction at first. Just a long, silent pause, two very different beings measuring each other without a trace of fear. Then Evan made a small sound. Not a cry, just a breathy, questioning noise. Miso responded by blinking slowly. It wasn't something he was taught, it wasn't planned. It was pure instinct. But in that moment, Evan's fussing stopped. He calmed instantly, his body relaxing on the mat. From that day on, Miso chose to be near. Not on the baby, never touching, just close enough. During naps, Miso would curl into a perfect loaf of a cat beside the crib, never daring to jump inside. During feedings, he sat nearby, still as a statue, his gaze soft. And when Evan cried, Miso didn't panic or run away like some cats might. He simply appeared in Evan's line of sight, sat down, and stayed there, blinking slowly, grounding the room with his unshakable calm. Weeks turned into a month, then 2. Evan began to recognize patterns in his new world. He smiled more whenever Miso entered the room. His little arms would reach out in Miso's direction, a silent invitation. And Miso, once so independent and self-contained, began adjusting his routines around Evan's. He slept lighter, his ears always tuned to the baby monitor. He moved slower around the house, his steps measured and soft. He listened more, not just with his ears, but with his whole body. One evening, Evan struggled to fall asleep. He wasn't crying loudly, just restless, turning his head back and forth, unable to settle. His parents tried everything, but the little one remained uncertain and awake. Miso, observing from the hallway, jumped onto the rocking chair beside the crib. He sat upright, his folded ears pointed forward, his silhouette framed by the nursery nightlight. He didn't meow. He didn't move. He just watched over the crib. Evan's breathing began to slow. His tiny hands, which had been clenching and unclenching, relaxed. His eyes fluttered and then closed. The parents noticed later, looking in quietly from the doorway. They saw the cat, a silent guardian, and their sleeping son. They didn't interrupt. They understood something unspoken, something sacred, was happening between them. As more months passed, Evan learned to roll over, then to sit up on his own. Miso, in turn, learned to allow gentle, clumsy touches. Evan's hands would pat his fur, sometimes a little too hard, but Miso never scratched. He never fled. If it became too much, he would simply stand up, stretch, and move a few feet away, a quiet lesson in boundaries, taught without any punishment or fear. That was their language. Patience, respect, a silent, mutual adjustment. One afternoon, Evan was sitting on the floor when Miso tilted his head, his folded ears flopping even tighter than usual. The sight was so comical that Evan let out a sudden, bubbling laugh. The sound filled the room, surprising everyone, including Miso. The cat froze for a second, then slowly curled his tail around his paws as if accepting this new, joyful kind of attention. There was no single moment of magic, no one dramatic event that sealed their friendship. It was built from hundreds of small, consistent moments of shared quiet. By the time Evan learned to crawl, he would often follow Miso across the living room floor. He wasn't fast, not chasing with loud excitement, but moving with a slow, determined curiosity. And Miso, sensing his tiny follower, would naturally slow his pace, stopping every few feet to look back, allowing Evan to catch up. The first word Evan tried to say wasn't mama or dada. It was a soft, mumbled sound. So Miso's head lifted instantly. He walked over from his sunny spot on the rug and sat beside the baby, folded ears forward, his amber eyes calm and full of recognition. This wasn't a story about a dramatic rescue. It wasn't loud or filled with incredible tricks. It was about a cat who taught a baby how to be still, how to find peace in the quiet moments. And in return, it was about a baby who taught a solitary cat how to be needed, how to be part of a family in a deeper way than he'd ever known. In that quiet house, day after day, their bond deepened not through grand actions, but through simple, unwavering presence. Because sometimes the greatest love doesn't arrive with a lot of noise. Sometimes it arrives softly, folds its ears back, and just waits to be seen.